101 ESPN. Welcome into our fourth period, our extended post-game coverage here on your home for the Blues, 101 ESPN. It's always brought to you by First Community Credit Union. Graham Francis back in our studios, along with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. I'm Alex Ferrario. So we're live up on our YouTube channel as well, at 101 ESPN STL, where you can join in on the conversation there. We're going to hear from Steve Ott in just a little bit. We'll have our Ted Drew's 3 takeaways as well. That'll be in the latter portion of our fourth period tonight, because Chris Kerber's in the booth, and we're going to continue the conversation with him after the Blues 4-2 loss to the Chicago Blackhawks here in preseason action. And Kerbs, we'll talk about the game, we'll talk about the Cam Fowler, but you said something to me at the end of the game that I thought is something we should start out with. You said it was a sold-out crowd for preseason action here at Enterprise Center tonight.
Yeah, how cool is that?
That's incredible.
I mean, you just felt something buzzing all summer long.
Totally.
You know, and it was really kind of a cool reaction thing all summer, talking to people how excited they were. And,
yeah.
You know, I think an opportunity to come out tonight. Now, again, keep this in mind. Like, it's one thing you'd say, well, they wanted to see this player play. They wanted to see that player play. Well, nobody knew until yesterday.
Correct.
Right? So you didn't sell 18,096 tickets yesterday. You know, so to be able to come out and see Pekarczyk, Dvorsky, Carbonneau, you know, Mayu play, Bushing or Jiricek. These guys all going, that's pretty cool, along with some of the veteran guys. I mean, you know, it's funny, we keep saying all those guys. We got to remember Jimmy Snuggerud only played 7 regular season games and 7 playoff games.
Right.
So he's in that group too. Really cool. So, I mean, what we should have done is our number one star should be the St. Louis Blues fan.
Absolutely. Well, and especially, like you said, the hype of it all. But for preseason and in the middle of September, when there's a Saturday night with college football, I mean, they made it a priority to come here, which tells you the excitement for this upcoming season. Let's start with that excitement, Curbs, because I personally thought that kid line, Dvorsky and Pekarczyk and Carbonneau, were noticeable in those first 2 periods, specifically that first. Of course, Dvorsky scores, but, man, they had 3 scoring chances in the first, 5 or 6 minutes, it felt like. They had the toe drag by Pekarczyk. You had Carbonneau posted up in front of the net. Every single game these guys play in, Curbs, it feels like they do something that is noticeable.
Well, go back to what Jim Montgomery was talking about when he met the media this morning. When he put that line together, he was asked about that line, and he said the reality of it is that line is going to play realistic minutes tonight. And what he meant by realistic minutes was total ice time. You know, Carbonneau, instead of playing 18 minutes, you know, in the first game and just below that the second game, tonight, if we actually go back and we look at the sheet here.
13.
You know, let me just do it on the fly here while we're.
Real radio.
Yeah, real radio. So Carbonneau played 13:38, right? And Dvorsky played 15:19. You know, he said those are the kind of minutes you could expect. You don't think either one of these guys are going to come in right now and really supplant anybody in the top 6,
right?
The way it's built. So you're not going to be seeing that 17, 18, 19 on the very high end 20 minutes of ice time. You're going to be sitting on the bench a little bit. You're going to be, so for fans, go pull up the game sheets and look at the total shifts for Carbonneau, who's now played in all 3 games. Look at the total shifts in game 1, game 2, and then game 3, and you're going to find tonight being a little bit less. And they wanted to see how these guys could handle those kind of things. Look, whether it's back in junior for Carbonneau or whether it's in Springfield for Dvorsky, they're going to be playing those top minutes. The minutes they played tonight and how they played is a very realistic role and minute how you go. Remember, Robert Thomas came into the league, started as a third-line winger.
Yeah.
And now he's your top-line centerman. And, again, Jim Montgomery referenced that. So I thought they started off well. I thought you could see the real hype, the adrenaline, the go crowd, you know, for each that had already played a game or 2 on the road. Now you come in and you see a sold-out Enterprise Center. That's going to get you going. Thought their game leveled off. You know, as the game went on, which leads to another thing Jim Montgomery talked about both, and he was referring to camp, and he said what you tend to see, the players that make the team are the ones where camp begins at a really strong level, and they continue to get better through camp. And he said today, we're seeing some of that separation now of the guys where you can tell they're getting better through camp and the guys that aren't. I mean, everybody's got energy the first week, right, the first few.
Right.
Now a week and a half in, 2 weeks in, things start to settle, and what's that old phrase? Water finds its level, right?
Yep.
And so that's kind of where they're at. And so I'm not surprised, and you will also see that in games. You'll see that in games on a regular basis. So I thought they look good. I mean, look, if there's anything no matter how hockey operations decides to sort through the numbers, the players, the directions, where they go, that kind of thing, the one thing you absolutely know, I mean, we haven't seen this kind of crop of young guys obviously come in 15-plus years when you were pulling in the Backuses, the Oshis, and Perrons, and Petrangelos, and Allens, and those guys. But the future is amazingly bright. And that's on top of having a really good team already here.
Who are young, like with the Holloway and Thomas and Kyrou, who are all under the age of 26. And I think you and I talked about that a lot last season, of the excitement of the talent, the pure talent that they've got in these younger players. You saw the Dvorsky shot, who picks it like the perfect time to go between the defenseman's legs, and it gets you to dream a little bit of a Snuggerud one-time shot, a Dvorsky one-time shot. You've seen Carbonneau, who likes to be in front of the net. That's the blueprint, or the structure, that Doug Armstrong joined us to talk about with the Cam Fowler in the roster. You see that in the younger players right now.
Yeah, and Jim Montgomery also talked today when asked about, you've got 4 games to go in the preseason. You're not playing your full lineup. You're not playing against what are you looking to try and see, and he was talking about the structure, the details, the positioning, things like that. But here's the reality. I mean, when you're not playing another NHL team that plays with that kind of structure and detail, right, it can really throw yours off too.
Chaos.
That's why players will tell you that actually sometimes playing up in the NHL could be a little bit easier than playing in the American Hockey League, especially for goalies. Goalies, you've got to scramble a lot down there. If you've got a goalie with good numbers in the American League, you've got a really good goalie, because things are broken more. You can see when you're playing against American leaguers, or some guys that are even in the East Coast Hockey League. You're talking, you're going to see the difference, and plays aren't as sharp. The pucks aren't rimmed as hard. The speed isn't there. So there's a yin and a yang to, I want to see real good structure and this and that, and then actually having to play a game that's a little bit sloppy at times just because of the all-around talent. And that's preseason sports. I don't care what the sport is, except for maybe auto racing.
Do they have a preseason?
I don't even know if auto racing has a preseason. But if I actually come to think about it, like right now,
Kenny Wallace, if you're listening,
of all the sports, they don't have a preseason. They have their own, like of all the sports, that's just the best on best always going, because it's not sort of like, hey, we're going to bring up a guy from, this lower series to take the NASCAR drive around the track just because, we want to see how the things are, want
to get them a tune-up,
how the pit crews and stuff are going. So most sports, if you're in a sport that has a preseason, right, you're going to see levels of the sloppiness, and you just have to wade through it. Don't read too much into it. Read just enough. Understand opportunity, and then as things go along, they sort themselves out.
Well,
hey,
you
guys,
just said that there.
Can I jump in with something real quick? So I just saw a tweet from Lou Korak that Justin Carbonneau is saying goodbyes to Blues teammates after the game. He's heading back to junior hockey in the QMJHL this season.
So I had a conversation during an intermission tonight kind of related to that. And I'm going to obviously wait until the team kind of looks at it. Pre-game, you and I talked about what the possible scenarios are. If there was an injury or two or something along those kind of lines, then you think, hey, is there an opportunity for somebody like that to stay here? But we were just referencing, and stay here for 6, 7, 8 games. We've seen players in the past do that. But you and I were just referencing where this team is. And the reality of it is if they don't see him playing a real role, you're going to put him back down with his age group and just let him continue to grow. Yeah. And by the way, that doesn't mean, every time we say that, it doesn't just necessarily mean grow on the ice and in the game and pick up these details of your game. It also means just grow as a human being, as a person. Mm-hmm. And you know what? As an 18-year-old that's going to turn 19, being in the NHL will be cool. There's no doubt. I'm sure part of him is probably disappointed in some of that. But go be an 18 and a 19-year-old.
Right.
You know, I mean, look, take it out of the sports realm. You know, just go be the kid you're supposed to be. Keep focusing on things because your future appears to be bright and it could be good here.
Right.
You know, so I think that's an okay move, and in the end, not at all surprising, especially when you look at the fact that honestly, go back to 2010. I mean, there's been 2 players in Doug Armstrong's tenure, you know, of teenagers that have come in, and that's Robert Thomas and that's Robbie Fabry.
Right.
You know, prior to that, obviously, you had David Perron that broke in. It doesn't happen a lot, but the biggest message there, or the absolute biggest message there, is it is a screaming eagle coming down on a lake trying to pull a trout out with its talons. It tells you exactly where the St. Louis Blues are as an organization
right now.
They're not a
development team.
They are there is no whatever going on anymore. You're in it.
Yep.
This is not, I am not putting words in management's mouth here. This is my opinion. I look at where they are. You look at something like that. You look at the fact that you've got guys that probably could go to the American League but may go to juniors, or guys that could, all these other things that we have seen over plenty of years of how young guys can be handled. The is done. When Doug Armstrong talks about opening windows, are they opening a championship window? I don't know. It's cracked for sure. The window's cracked. All right. They're definitely the window's been unlocked, and the seal, you know, has been cracked.
You're getting a draft.
Have they definitely opened up a winning and contending window? I 1,000% believe it.
Yeah.
Absolutely believe it. I believe that the St. Louis Blues, if they remain healthy this season, are going to challenge for a top 3 spot in the Central Division, and I really would not be at all surprised if they challenge for the top spot in the division. And Jim Montgomery is once again a finalist for a Jack Adams Trophy.
Yeah. And so, again, if you're just joining us, it's not been confirmed yet, but Grant brought that in. Lou Korak, who's down in the Blues locker room, saying Carbonneau was saying his goodbyes to Blues teammates after the game, heading back to junior hockey in the QMJHL this season. Again, not confirmed yet, but that's from Lou, who's down in the locker room. Another player I wanted to ask you about, Curbs, before we get into the Cam Fowler and then we'll wrap up, was Logan Mayhew. You said it to Jamie at the end of the first period that, you know, some guys can look like they're still getting their wits about them on the ice early in preseason or training camps, but Logan Mayhew looks like he knows what's going on. His hockey sense is right there. There were 2 defensive plays right off the opening faceoff that he made to clear the puck out of the zone, and then, of course, the offensive instinct just seemingly is there. Plus, you've got the physicality, and then you get him dropping his mitts in the middle of the game as well.
You're talking about a 22-year-old that has also, you know, picked up some experience playing in Europe. We're not talking about the 19-year-old Adam Juracek.
Right.
Okay? I mean, you're talking about a 22-year-old that has size, that has, you know, spent some time in the gym, that is starting to grow into a man's body. He hasn't played a lot in the NHL, obviously, just the 8 games. But his first year pro had a really good year in the American League. I think it was 34 points off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Somewhere right around there. Or was it 40-something? I'm not going to go off the top of my head when I actually put notes. So 33 points in 63 games, 12 goals, 21 assists in the American Hockey League. And this is a guy that is ready to step into the National Hockey League. Now, do you expect or should you expect some growing pains? Absolutely. When you've only played 8 games in the NHL plus a couple of playoff games, the answer is yes. But we have seen young guys step into the league and just go.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I'm talking about a Kel McCarr in this case, and I'm not hanging that on anybody. Okay, but what I'm saying is it's possible to see it. You can see 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old players come into the National Hockey League and have an impact.
Yeah.
He's being given every chance at the age of 22 to do that. But because the Blues also have some depth, obviously, with Tucker, with Kessel, right, and how some of these other camp scenarios battle out. If they do feel that in the grind of this season, and it is going to be a grind because of the way these games are somewhat scrunched, that a young defenseman needs a breather in the press box, And it may not be. It could be a mental break. It could be a physical break. It doesn't always have to be just about whether or not they deserve to be up there because the play isn't good. They've got the depth and to be able to do it. One thing that's very clear, Doug Armstrong joined us during the second intermission to talk about the Cam Fowler extension. When he mentions them, they're very comfortable with where they are here. And, in the 2 games now that we've seen from Logan Mailloux, you and Jamie referred again, this is a guy that played in the NHL. Jamie Rivers, of course, talked about it. He says there's no doubt you've got terrific players in both guys. They're at different levels, and you can see it on the ice. And Logan Mailloux is NHL ready. And, when you make a trade of a guy that looked like he could be, and things trending in the right way for Bolduc, you're going to get a hockey player back. And, boy, oh, boy, I'll tell you what. This is an if. If Broberg continues on the path that it appears that he could be on, and Mailloux somehow, not somehow, I don't mean it that way, and Mailloux develops into a top 4 defenseman, okay? When you're talking about, in the span of one 12-month period, getting 2 first-round draft picks from other organizations that could end up, like, very soon, one already there, but both being young, and very soon be a top 4 defenseman with you over a, say, 3 to 4 year period. Like that's unbelievable. That is truly unbelievable.
On top of having 2 first-round picks of your own in the minors and juniors, continuing to develop.
But but not only did you do that, and again, that's if they get there, and they're trending like it looks like it could be that case. But who knows how things. But looking ahead, not only did you do that, it cost you a second-round pick and a player. Mm-hmm. Now, that player looks like he's going to be a good player. That player was a 16th, 17th overall pick of yours?
Yeah, middle of the draft.
Okay, in Bolduc, right? But you got something back. I mean, if you looked at somebody and said, I'm going to trade you a second-round pick and a player that was drafted middle of the first round for 2 players that we think are going to be top 4 defensemen in the National
One of them
League,
a top 10 pick.
Right? Both basically, 24 or younger.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. One of them a top 10 pick. Hey, oh, my gosh. You're making that deal every day of the week. They're just hard to come by in the National Hockey League.
And both right now are combined, less than $6 million, less than $5 million, because Mailloux still on an entry-level contract.
Yeah, and I just look around the league when you think about what the Blues are doing defensively, and this could lead into the Cam Fowler stuff. But who was a 4th overall pick, right?
Yeah,
and you got in a trade. I mean, think of what your defense looks like right now.
Right.
Okay.
Wasn't Justin Falk a high pick as well?
And Falk was a first-round pick, I believe.
I got to look that up while we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, Falk was second round.
Was he second round?
Yeah.
I just look at this, Alex, and I think back to Anaheim winning the Stanley Cup and the Pronger trade putting them over the top. And all of a sudden it was Pronger paired up with Niedermeyer. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, and 2 guys that find their way out to the West Coast. And you could just go pick any defensive group, along the way, and eventually guys that had to be traded in that end up playing in the top 4. And you're going to find this on every Stanley Cup champion. Like you got Hedman. There are guys like a Pietrangelo with St. Louis, a Hedman with Tampa, a Carlson with Washington. But it's how you round it out. And holy smokes, have the Blues rounded this out?
Yeah.
It's hard to develop a defenseman.
Uh-huh.
And let's face it, over the last couple of years, when we talked about it, we're like, boy, I don't know where, these things are. And you still have Kessel and Tucker that are young, up-and-coming, to NHL-ready defensemen right now.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about these younger guys, we don't mean any disrespect to these 2 guys, And again, how do things happen? You go back to the year that Parayko and Edmondson broke in, and they basically knocked Robert Bortuzzo and I got to always make sure I go back and look that up. The European defenseman that we had.
Was that Hakanpää?
No, I don't think it was Hakanpää. I'm blanking on it, but
I'll find it.
It was Bortuzzo and that guy that were basically slotted to be your 5th and 6th, and then coming out of camp, Parayko and Edmondson, who had just played in the minors the year before, and Edmondson had been dealing with back. They came up and they took it over.
Oh, Petteri Lindbom?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah,
that's who it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you're a Blues fan, go down the rabbit hole and dig in. But this is pretty cool.
Well, and it's the transition of it, right? Like you go from a lot of people around the league looked at the Blues and said, "Oh, well, they're stuck with some contracts that don't look the greatest." And then in a matter of a couple of years, when you're in the midst of that retool, you retool your entire blue line to now look like one of the biggest and toughest defensive groups, because with Fowler's size and Parayko's size, and you add in Broberg, and now with Tucker and Mayu, I mean, you've got size, you've got grit, and you've got offensive potential.
Here's one for your show on Monday. If you're Cam Fowler, you're now Cam Fowler. What other teams right now, at your age, knowing that winning is a factor, and knowing that the Blues are where they're at and you're seeing part of the talent, and yes, I mean, got a young family, there's all those other factors. But let's just look at the pure hockey side. What's a team you want to go to? Well, how many other teams are there out there that you could find yourself
to where you want to win?
How many other teams out there do you go there and find yourself in a better situation over the next 3 years than where you're at with the St. Louis?
Meaning you're a top pair defenseman getting minutes, playing number 1 power play unit.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody always
and winning and have winning. A chance to be a part of a winning atmosphere.
So go through a good market. So go through those though. Like Florida, you're not getting the top power player, the top minutes.
But okay, yes, I want to go play for Florida.
Sure, but
Florida, Edmonton. Okay,
Dallas.
Let's not parse it too much.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going Dallas right now over St. Louis.
I think with the no tax, it seems like that's where players always discuss.
Hockey team.
Oh, hockey team. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in on
so hockey team. Yeah, I mean,
just hockey team over the next few years. Like, I guess, Colorado.
You're not getting top power play minutes, though.
So, yeah, but you still want to go. You maybe
win.
Go play with them. Okay, but even if I gave you Dallas, you're talking about a couple of teams in the Central Division. Winnipeg, no.
Yeah. Minnesota, no.
Okay. I don't think Minnesota at this point, even though they eventually have some cap space. No, Utah I don't see is like Utah's going to be right there, but I don't see, in terms of up and coming, but I don't see him in the same spot as the Blues right now.
L.A.
Yes,
maybe.
Okay. All right. I could see a great situation in L.A.
Calgary.
With where they're at. Calgary, no. Vancouver,
Vegas. No. If we're going hockey.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Vegas is an intriguing one for me. I could say yes, but I just think in terms of an upward trend.
Oh, I'm with you there.
In terms of where they're trending. Now, with Pietrangelo not playing this year for Vegas, maybe that opens that up from that thought process. But I don't know if Vegas is still on an upward trend, on a flat, or maybe even angling down just a little bit because of where they're at. But so to me, I think LA is a little bit more so than Vegas.
Yeah, but I mean, we just went through the Western Conference teams.
There's your Western Conference scenarios.
There's about 4 or 5 of them.
It's not Nashville.
No.
And stuff.
And then you got the teams that are expected to be top picks
in the East. I don't think there's any option other than Florida.
You don't think Carolina's up there in terms of winning?
All right, Carolina. Yeah,
Carolina would be.
Maybe Washington with what Washington did last year.
Yeah.
But that was such a jump for a while. Okay, Carolina.
And then Toronto. Right. Would you put Toronto up there?
Yeah, because of their coach.
And the winning. And you've got pretty elite players.
So I think what we've determined.
Less than 10 teams.
I think that's where I was about to go with this. I think what we just kind of walked through is, if you had a no trade list, or if you had a trade list where you submitted 10 teams you could be traded to, if you're Cam Fowler, looking at the scenario right now, this clearly is one of those 10 teams.
Yeah. That's a position you're in.
Again, speaks volumes of where the Blues are right now.
Yeah, and that's why you re-sign a guy like that wants to be there, that's shown success, and you've got the guy in place.
Now, you still got to play the game.
Yep.
You still got to drop the puck in the regular season. This division is going to be downright nasty with a capital N. And, I mean, you got to have some luck. Some things have to go health-wise. They're out of all this stuff. But just moves like Doug Armstrong. This is where I'm talking about when I look at the last 12 months for the St. Louis Blues, and I look at 2 offer sheets signed, a Cam Fowler acquisition, and a trade for Logan Mailloux. And you look at where this team is now, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how Doug Armstrong did not win GM of the Year last year.
Preaching to the choir,
right? But if we go on a 12-month period, I don't know. It's not that I don't know. You will not find a team or a general manager that has made more franchise impactful moves than what Doug Armstrong's last 12 months have been.
Yep.
I mean, absolute. How does it translate? How does it go? I don't know. When do they win a cup again? If they win a cup, I don't know all that. That's looking way too into a crystal ball, and you know me and predictions and stuff like that.
They don't go well.
But I'll tell you what. Tell me something that's been better.
Yeah.
So tell me a general manager that's made more impactful moves over the last 12 months than that.
I was screaming that from the top of the hillside last season, and unfortunately it didn't come to fruition. But
I mean, I like the moves of the Florida Panthers, and yes, that resulted in a cup. But again, but I'm looking at it like their franchise. Just in terms of impactful numbers and where the franchise is, wow. Like if I'm a Blues season ticket holder, I'm a half-season ticket holder. I'm a partial plan holder, right? I've just gone online because, we read a great promo for individual game tickets, and I bought 4 or 5 tickets. Dang, can I not wait to get to this arena and watch this hockey team play?
And it's showtime.
I want to get past this preseason and go, let's go.
Yep.
Bring me October 9th. Let's have a big divisional matchup right off the hop. Let's see what happens with Kaprizov. Blues and Wild have been great games later. Let's let the snot fly and just have some fun. I mean, I'm pumped up.
There you go. No, 3 more preseason games, 3 more preseason, but we'll get there. We'll get there at some point. Curbs, appreciate you sticking around tonight, man. Yep, we'll talk to you on Tuesday night when the Stars come to town. We'll make that tonight's Ted Drews 3 takeaways. Ted Drews, it really is good guys and gals. We'll come back and hear from Steve Ott and wrap it up next year on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN.
St. Louis. When the puck drops and your team hits the ice, you need a beer that plays just as hard. Swickle Light from Urban Chestnut Brewing Company. Crisp, refreshing, and only 90.
Welcome back in. Final time here on our extended post-game coverage, the fourth period on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Appreciate Curb sticking around with us as we just went through our Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. But now let's head down into the Blues locker room and hear from the assistant coach or associate coach, Steve Ott, who spoke with the media tonight.
Well, the first 2 periods, I thought we saw a lot of great clips of our team, how we've been building in training camp, and we were aggressive. We were kind of over top of them, and you saw a lot of success of the shot attempts that were coming from it. Obviously, the third, there's things we want to clean up, especially the turnovers.
Was he one of the young guys that maybe stood up for you tonight? Or?
You know what, I really thought, especially, talking about those first 2 periods, I thought his game was a lot stronger. He's continuing and growing through camp, and, he's an exciting player. He had a lot of good puck possession, some strong plays, and his growth continues to excel as this camp's gone on.
Where do you see those areas of growth for him?
Well, for starting on the defensive side of things, he was able to strip a lot of pucks tonight, regaining that possession, making strong plays out of there. Offensively, I thought he had some good looks. He was setting up his line mates well. And just the way he's tracking, he's playing more of a pro game every single game for him.
You know what you're going to get from him offensively, so it's the other side of the puck, where the areas where you really want specifically, I guess, work with him?
Absolutely. I think the defensive side of things, it's new for any young player, especially a young centerman. It's probably the hardest role to learn at a young age, and he's seeing growth in practice. We're seeing great clips of him doing the right thing, starting to read off it where it's becoming natural to him. And when it's translating in tonight's game, he's taking the right step.
Fowler's extension, obviously you see a lot of him on the power play. What kind of dynamic did he bring to your group once he arrived?
Well, it's a heck of a signing, right? It was a great trade when we got him. It boosts our power play tremendously. But not only that, the way he covers ice, you saw it today. He's all over the ice in all situations. And the power play, he adds another element to it. His deception's as high end as it can, and he just brings a calming pro attitude every single day. So we're really excited, and what a great signing. And we're looking forward to the next 3 years with him.
Doug said that he credits the coaches for why he and Parayko are a good pair together. So what made you feel like that was going to be a good fit?
Yeah, you know what? Once they went together, the way they are able to shut down top lines and contribute offensively. I think both of them had, almost career years in the sense of that. The rebirth of Fowles, basically, since he came on the trade, and Perry. I mean, he scored 15, 16 goals last year, and they became a duo that played a 200-foot game. And in the trust level that we have as coaching staff, we know when they go over the ice, the job gets done.
There you go. That's Steve Ott once again speaking with the media, specifically there about Cam Fowler, which, if you missed it, signed a contract extension, 3-year extension. So that will take place after this year, which was a part of his contract that the Blues acquired from the Anaheim Ducks. But 3 years, so he's here for the next 4 years, and it's a 6.1 AAV. And I saw a lot of people's reaction over on X or on your YouTube chat talking about, was it too soon for the Blues? I think it was the perfect time for the Blues, because if he has another season this year like he did last year, you're talking about a 34-year-old defenseman who, with the cap rising and somebody who's got the power play ability on top of playing top minutes, I mean, you're talking $7+ million for those types of guys, even if he's at 34. So this was a great move for the Blues, and as Doug Armstrong told us during the second intermission, this is the infrastructure of what they want. They want these veterans to help the young ones continue to learn. Now, Broberg gets to be around Fowler and Parayko, just like Mayu for the next few years, as well as Tucker and Kessel. And then the minor league guys or the juniors players, once they get to the NHL camp or in the minor league system, now they're around those players a little bit more. And then the other one, of course, if you missed it, and again, this has not been confirmed yet, but from Lou Korek, who was down in the Blues locker room, Justin Carbonneau saying his goodbyes to Blues teammates after the game. He's heading back to junior hockey in the QMJHL. Again, not from the Blues, that's from Lou Korek. The Blues will be off tomorrow, my anticipation, which you might see some more cuts with the roster with only 3 preseason games taking place before the regular season begins. And the next preseason action will be Tuesday night when the Blues take on the Dallas Stars here at Enterprise Center. It'll be a 7 o'clock puck drop, which means our pregame festivities kick off at 6 o'clock right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Huge shout out to Chris Kerber for sticking around with us tonight, to Jim Hewer as well, taking care of us in the broadcast booth, and the great Grant Francis, our producer, back in our 101 ESPN studios, and him making sure that we were aware of that news from Lou Korak on Justin Carbonneau. So hope everyone has a great rest of their night. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Blues and Stars right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN.